Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is part 4, the GameCom version of Wheel of Fortune. Now, I've known about the GameCom since 2000 when I was looking for Wheel of Fortune stuff on eBay. I had just gotten a computer that was capable of internet service, and I'm looking on eBay for Wheel of Fortune stuff, and I saw the GameCom version of Wheel of Fortune. But in July of 2004, I managed to get myself a GameCom version, and it came with a whole bunch of games. Wheel of Fortune was one of them. Now, the GameCom has a very, very small library. Only 20 games were released for this thing. And it was an attempt at dethroning Nintendo's Virtual Boy. Now, some of the things that it had that Nintendo's original Game Boy did not have was, first off, a touchscreen. Came with a built-in stylus, so you can actually holding it the wrong way. That's the end that you use. So it has a touchscreen. It had internet capabilities, but this really was supposed to be more of a gaming system, but Tiger tried to make it a little bit more, and it just really wasn't worth it to bring the system online. But it did, like I said, it did have a touchscreen, and it also had digitized speech. Now, eventually, later Game Boy variations, I don't know if the Color had speech, but I know the Game Boy Advance has speech, and now you have a lot of handheld consoles that have built-in speech. But not surprisingly, Wheel of Fortune was the reason why I wanted a GameCom. And I also knew about the second Wheel of Fortune game, Wheel of Fortune 2. It's virtually the same game. There are no major differences in gameplay. It's just the puzzles used, the avatar, slightly different intro screen. I think the bonus round prizes as well, but that's just about it. Even so, Wheel of Fortune 2 was one of the rarer games for the GameCom. When I got mine nearly 4 years ago, nearly 4 years ago, this was spring of 2018, I spent nearly $200, including shipping for the game. If you want a copy of Wheel of Fortune 2 for the GameCom, be prepared to pay hundreds more. I've seen some listings on eBay lately, and they go for like $400 for just the cartridge alone. And then you have a new and packaged copy. Those can go well into the upper hundreds. It's pretty rare when Wheel of Fortune 2 shows up on eBay as well. So if I were you, just try and grab a copy while you have the chance to. The GameCom system can wait. Those are far more common, but I recommend, if you want Wheel of Fortune 2, get it while you still can. Now, while this version of the GameCom is very common, this I got recently, the GameCom Pocket Pro. And it's a smaller version of the GameCom. It can fit in your pocket. It has many of the same features that the original GameCom has, plus more. It still has a touchscreen. There's no sound button, but there is a sound dial. I noticed there is a sound dial. I forgot there was a sound dial on this side of the GameCom. This doesn't have a sound button. So with a sound dial, this is where the sound dial is, I believe. Yeah. And with a sound dial, a sound button really isn't all that necessary. But one of the nice things about the GameCom Pocket Pro is the fact that despite the screen is just a tad bit smaller than the original GameCom, it is backlit, so it does make up. So now I really did a review of the GameCom when I should really be doing a review of Wheel of Fortune and Wheel of Fortune 2. Like I said, the gameplay is the same. This is the layout used in the game. Now for round one, this $5,000 space and $2,500 space, those are worth $500 and $250 respectively. the extra zero, so in round one, the extra zero is omitted, but this $250 area and this $500 area, it's going to be the same exact small size. But for round two, the $250 space will become $2,500, and then for round three, $5,000. And then you go to the bonus round. You can choose from W, H, E, E, or L. If you choose one of the, now this time you can choose either of the E's in the word wheel. The GameCom's touchscreen allows that. Now, free spin, it works the same, if I recall correctly, it works the same way as Tiger's first Wheel of Fortune game, in the fact that if you land on it and call a correct letter, you get a free spin. So, but there have been some reviews of Wheel of Fortune that really haven't been too kind. Some reviewers have said, you're more than likely to hit bankrupt on the wheel. It's like it comes back to you, it's like you lose it just as quickly. It's like the wheel will not hesitate to give you a bankrupt or lose a turn. So if you know the puzzle and you somehow have quite a bit of money, if I were you, I'd solve it. So, yeah. But apart from that, it's one of the best games on the GameCom. There was one review I heard about, when it comes to the top 10 games for Tiger's GameCom. And at the very top, Wheel of Fortune was and Wheel of Fortune topped the list. And the reviewer also mentioned the rare sequel. Now, ultimately, the GameCom proved to be disastrous for Tiger Electronics. And they ultimately discontinued the system in 2000. While it is one of the worst-selling handheld consoles of all time, it's not the worst. There was a system that came out back in 2005 called the Gizmondo, released by a company called Tiger Telematics, which is completely different from Tiger Electronics. It's a completely different company. The company was short-lived. The way the Gizmondo was made was just awful. Despite the fact that it had a color screen, while the GameCom had black and white, I would certainly recommend the GameCom. There are more games. The GameCom is much more worthwhile than the Gizmondo, if you ask me. Besides, Wheel of Fortune did not make it to the Gizmondo, now did it? So ultimately, but even so, like I said, the GameCom didn't do well. And if you ask me, really, out of the 20 games that were released for the GameCom, only few make the system worthwhile. Perhaps none more so than the 2 Wheel of Fortune games for it. Now for part 5, I will discuss Wheel of Fortune slots.